feeding them foods that are grown from sick, very sick seeds. Everyone's fed because there's the proper feeding of people with illuminated food, water that's once again clean and healthy. Will you picture that? Will you do your part in alchemy? Can you give up your old thinking for new to embrace this? And really, I say can you, but I take a deep sigh, because that's not it. It's will you? Will you do it? I'm not so sure anymore, because it takes a discipline. It takes a huge discipline to contribute properly with the knowingness, in spite of the dark appearances. You insist on seeing in your mind's eye the healthy pine tree forest. You insist on seeing the lakes clean, the rivers running clean, without the toxic spill that's now plaguing much of Florida. For you who live in the state of Florida, and for anyone in the United States, if you even think of Florida, see their waters running clean again. You know, for those of you, one of my pet new seeings is for the American Indians out west. They're one with me. They're my race. That's the human race. So I see their waters clean and not being polluted by greed and those that want to harm their rivers. I also do alchemy, reminding them to stay strong. There's not a day that goes by that I don't pull up in my mind's eye the vision of these dear people that we have tormented until there's very few left of them. And in my mind's eye, I apologize to them. And that's what every one of you should be doing if you want to get well, if you want to turn the waters around, if you want a healthy earth. You got to do the work. And you can't say, not my problem, and I'm too busy. Well, you know what? Even driving the kids somewhere, taking a walk down the street, doing the monotonous slave job that you're now doing, you can send a good thought to them and be an alchemist. So I say to you, can you give up the old for new? And that's it's connected with one of the spiritual laws of the universe. And the spiritual law is forgiveness. However, in the house of mirrors that earth people live on, the word has been delivered to you backward. The word comes across as forgiveness, which many of you full on can say, I can't forgive them. They've really harmed me, whoever it is. It could be a mother, a father, a husband, a lover, a wife, whatever. The list goes on as to who you think you can't forgive. But here's the backwardness of the word. The word in its essence, in its integrity, is give for. And the caveat to that is give up your old thinking, your old beliefs. In other words, empty your arms out of what you've been carrying for years and years and years. Give up the old for the new. And along with that would be, every person is your brother and sister. You're in the brotherhood, sisterhood of humankind. The alchemy of forgiveness is huge because many of you are struggling with apparently forgiving a person who's now taking the opposite political stance from where you are in the United States. And I know this show is actually broadcast globally. So for those of you in other countries, which incidentally I have done some alchemy to reach you, to love you in the far corners of the world. But for those of you in any place, there is division. There's a sense of you must hate. You're taught to hate and fear. You're taught that very early on. whether it's nationality against nationality, one side of the country against the other side. What was this whole deal about in Ireland years ago, where there's North and South? Are you kidding me? You're Irish. Of course, I would take that several steps higher. You're not Irish at all. You're enlightened beings. Behave accordingly. So there's the union. What I'm very concerned about for people in the United States, and they don't even understand what they're being fed day in and day out, is a sense of separation and hatred. United, you stand. You don't want to even begin to contemplate the opposite of that. And that's what the dark forces are doing for you. You won't stand. You'll fall. So the prospect of starting again for another round of 32,000 years, it's a bit daunting. I'd rather you go forward. Evolve to a higher consciousness. But you can't do that without the discipline of, who do I need to be one with today? Where's that alchemy? How am I going to do it? In this time of the blue storm, which is the year that we're in, here it is a time of transformation, renewal, reconfiguration, self-generation. Well, if you think you're going to self-generate with the next latest, greatest car, handbag, shoes, it's not how you're going to regenerate yourself, not at all. It doesn't work that way. So some of you, I really do invite you, call in. First of all, say hello. I love you up in the Northeast. Thank you for being such a great host for me with open arms, open heart. You are the sisterhood and brotherhood for me. And down here in Florida, I'm just cultivating that inner sisterhood and brotherhood by little gatherings here and there. And of course, I do have to give a shout out to my gal who keeps me healthy down here, is Jeannie McGuire, Dr. Jeannie McGuire. And how does she keep me healthy? Jeannie has a practice called Ageless Natural Medicine. If you need anything, and the truth is I found out just the other day, anything from anywhere in the country or the world, you should call her because she can get you on the right track. Her healing gifts are off the chart. So her phone number, should you want to take it down, is 321-757-4047. And she is her practice is on the Space Coast. It's Melbourne, but it's a little sidelight of Melbourne called Vieira. But she's here. She's right here on the Space Coast. But I'm telling you, the rest of you, call in. It's worth it. If you want to reach me personally, I'd suggest you go to my website, www.higherconsciousness. Higher Consciousness. And I spell that slightly differently. It's H-I-E-R, to honor the hierarchy. So it's higher consciousness. It brings down to earth wonderful healing information, and it gives you access to finding me. So HIERCONSCIOUSNESS.com. I know consciousness is a bit of a tongue twister, but you can do it. So let me see what else I want to share with you today. With this now, so I think you're alchemied out. Do I want to say anything else about that? Let me think. Yeah, it's pretty much invoking the law of blessings, gratitude. This is alchemy at its best. But I really think you can't do it unless you are willing to face it. And with alchemy, you cannot actually violate someone's free will. So if someone's harming you, you got to be careful with that, because the best thing to do is probably run like heck and get away from the harm. At a distance, it's easier to forgive and give up the old for new. It's just easier at arm's length. But quite frankly, we have a lot to do. Many of you in your personal lives, they're so filled with angst or illness that it's hard for you to focus on anything other than changing yourself, which of course is always that first obligation. It's do you first, not in a selfish way, but unless I'm healthy, I can't help you, and that's the same for you helping me. So do the alchemy on you first, and even in the midst of that sometimes, you can do alchemy for the world, for the waters. Let's keep things as steady as we can during this massive time of shift and transformation. That's why some of you are feeling so unsettled. That's what's happening. And it's intense. And it must happen. Things can't stay as they are. You are not created to be a slave. And that's what's happened to many people. You are created to be the most magical, freewheeling, high-loving being ever. That's who you are underneath. That's the divine spark working through you. But when you're beaten down, no matter which way, it's very difficult to remember that. And oftentimes, it's simply too hard. And you seemingly give up. And you might give up the body. It's okay. You're not your body. And once you step out of your body, that's all light again. So it's okay. Sometimes it's simply too hard here. For many years, I thought, it's too hard here. I can't do this. For myself, thankfully, I was always guided to the next bit of healthy information. And that's what you look for, healthy information. I'm going to give you some titles of healthy information that just are sort of swimming into my brain right now. One of them, and I think you have to go on Amazon now to find it, it's out of print for the most part, but it's around, and it costs about, well, when I bought it, it was about $3. Now I think it's about $9. It's simply called The Game of Life and How to Play It. I'm going to say it again. The Game of Life and How to Play It. It's an oldie but goodie, written by Florence Scovel Shinn. That's Shinn. Even if you get Florence Shinn, you'll find it. You don't need the rare edition for $300. You need the humble paperback for $9-something. You'll find it. If it's for you, you'll find it. And sometimes I go back to the oldies because they're filled with the basic, simple wisdoms. If it's not simple, it's probably not for you. And I say that because all truth is simple. When it's too complicated and convoluted, the truth has been diluted with that. There's another book that some of you have probably, especially in the Northeast, you may have heard me speak of this, and it's simply called Shape Shifting. Shape Shifting. Sorry about the sort of double S's there, but Shape Shifting. And it's by an author by the name of John Perkins. John Perkins. Some of you may be interested in reading other of his material. It's quite thought-provoking, and some will call it quite controversial. But in this shape-shifting, he actually goes into the lands where the indigenous tribes remain and learns about how do we do this. And really, they speak of keep your eye on a golden tomorrow. Become golden. You know, part of the problem was we got too involved with gold and forgot the golden. And Mama Earth needs your help. No, I take that back. Mama Earth doesn't need your help. Mama Earth is spectacular. She will throw us off when she's ready to heal. But in the meantime, Wouldn't it be lovely